Welcome to week 23 of the Power Rankings, and I'm going to be honest, this season, it's lining up for a Sacramento Kings finals. Like every team outside of Sacramento has bad injury luck, bad coaching, and just playing bad at basketball. The Kings have been this steady, consistent B+, and that's good enough to win it all this year. Starting with the bottom of the barrel of these Power Rankings, and of course, we have the worst team in the NBA, the Detroit Pistons, and they've had some bright spots. James Wiseman looks like a pretty solid piece. Killian Hayes had a couple good games. Jaden Ivey's been a Rookie of the Year candidate, but it's just been a sad season for the Pistons, not moving at all from the bottom of this list. Next up is the San Antonio Spurs. They've been okay. I think they're 5-5 in their last 10. Devin Vassell is back playing basketball. Keldon Johnson, once again, being one of the more underappreciated young talents of this league. And of course, Greg Popovich is always going to make his teams competitive. And it seems like they always are doing this where they get really close, really competitive games, and then they find a way to lose, which is great because they're looking for Victor Wembanyama. Following them is the Houston Rockets, and they're starting to win games. Steven Silas is Coach of the Year confirmed. Jabari Smith is officially not a bust after he hit a game-winning three-point shot. And that was why I had Jabari as that number 1 overall pick, because he's this 6'10" dude who's freaky athletic, who can make 40% of his three-pointers. He's a talent. The Rockets were just completely misusing him and ruined his confidence and turned him into a bust. So I'm putting all the blame on Steven Silas as far as that is concerned. That's another topic for another day, but the Rockets are playing pretty good basketball right now. Still only 18 wins on the season, but they are doing a good job out there currently. I hope they don't make that mistake where they go, oh, look at the way we improved at the end of the season. Let's keep Steven Silas another year. Please don't do that. And that's the end of the bottom of the barrel tier. Next up is a team on its own, which is still the Charlotte Hornets, a team that is trying to win and failing. They have 22 wins and 50 losses. LaMelo's gone for the season, and this is just a really sad season, so that's all we're going to talk about with them. Following them is the tier gap of the WTF is the NBA tier, because what is this season? That being said, there's the WTF below 500 and the WTF above 500. We're going to start with the Magic, and I think their playoff dreams are over at this point. They really lack outside scoring, and of course, Terrence Ross is now gone as well. Another final month of roster evaluation is really what I'm expecting from this Magic squad. Guys like Mo Wagner and Chuma Okeke, see if they're going to make the roster next season. Same thing with Cole Anthony, for example. I think their playoff push and their playoff hopes are over, and it's been an interesting season to say the least. They have the Rookie of the Year, 20 points per game scorer, and Paulo Banchero. Let's see if they can build around him. Next up is the Portland Trail Blazers, and Washington Wizards coming in at 24th, and there's been a Johnny Davis sighting, and I've been saying this since the beginning of time. I've been pounding the table. It's not the players at the Wizards draft, it's their development team. The NBA is all about long-term 5-10 year development, and they are just terrible at their job. Similar to the Chicago Bulls, they cannot develop a headache. The Wizards just fail on all levels at developing talent, on maintaining their roster, on doing the right decisions. The Wizards are an embarrassing franchise, and this year, having them fall at the 6th, 7th, 8th best odds to get the number 1 overall pick feels about right. Next up is the Pelicans, who are going to be falling down 2 spots, and it's just been a continued rough stretch. Ever since Zion went out, the Magic was gone, and they just haven't figured out a way to bring it back. Not a lot to talk about. Brandon Ingram is back, but he's not really producing winning basketball. The rest of the guys just aren't clicking and fitting. Maybe it's time for Willie Green to go on to greener pastures as they look for a new head coach, and maybe have to think about blowing up the roster as well. Pacers here at 22nd, jumping up a spot. They are just playing good basketball now that Tyrese Haliburton is back. He unlocks Buddy Hield. Don't ask me how. Don't ask me why. But whenever Buddy Hield is playing with Tyrese, he's like an all-star. And then when he's playing without Tyrese, he's a bum. Miles Turner, of course, having that incredible season. Andrew Nembhard. Of course, Ben Mathurin is out. That's going to hurt their stock a little bit. Maybe they're going to go more towards the Victor Wembanyama push. Maybe they're going to go for the play-in push. You never know with this Pacers squad. And the Bulls climbing up a spot, officially out of the depths of the NBA. Can you believe the Bulls are almost a 500 team? Whew, what a season. Next is the Jazz, and the Jazz are just this mediocre, well-oiled machine. If a team either doesn't play hard or has trouble scoring, they're going to fight you in a competitive game every single night. Once again, Will Hardy is still my Coach of the Year. And we have the Raptors here at 19th. No movement for them as well. This bottom list is kind of set in stone as far as how the teams are producing. And the Raptors, ever since they got Jakob Poeltl, have been playing maybe slightly above 500 basketball. Pretty impressive. Pascal Siakam looking to be a little bit better. Fred VanVleet has been balling the hell out lately. So credit to the Raptors, man. They're starting to turn their season around. Maybe they'll make a late playoff push. We have the Thunder next at 18th. just a kind of playing with house money season still. They've got a bunch of young guys. They got Shai Gilgeous-Alexander playing at an all-NBA level. Still waiting for Chet Holmgren to come back, of course. Jalen Williams playing lights out. Lou Dort. Like I said, this is a house money year. Next season, we're going to see how they actually produce and perform with some of the expectations on their shoulders. They're probably going to be a top 10 team in these power rankings with a healthy Chet. And at 17 is the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the theme of their season is just injuries, man. Injuries. The latest one to Anthony Edwards now. It looked like he broke his ankle in half and he was going to be gone for the entire season. Thankfully, it seems like it's going to heal rather quickly. Hopefully they get Karl Anthony Towns and they get Anthony Edwards back in time, because Mike Conley just isn't going to be good enough to carry the team alongside Rudy Gobert and their complete lack of depth. Man, I got high expectations for these Timberwolves, but they just continue to get bad luck. And that is the tier of WTF sub 500 teams. These are the tier of above 500 teams, starting with the Brooklyn Nets, who I'm bumping up a spot. I kind of counted them out. I know their record is better than they actually are. They'll have a lot of embarrassing games where you just have no offensive execution whatsoever. It's pretty clear that this team has no idea how to run an offense right now, because there just hasn't been time to integrate all their pieces. There hasn't been time to figure out what Mikal Bridges does well, and Spencer Dinwiddie does well, and Cam Johnson does well, and Cam Thomas does well. I think there's talent on this team in the long term. Of course, they don't have their draft pick, so once again, they're just playing with house money themselves. If they win, great. If they lose, who cares? That's kind of the Brooklyn Nets for the next 5 years. Got the Mavericks coming here at 15th, and Kleba, what a game winner. Now, this non-Luka stretch is really exposing how bad the Mavericks roster is and how bad of a coach Jason Kidd is. And honestly, I'm firing Mark Cuban, and I'm firing Jason Kidd, and I'm firing the GM, and I'm giving Jerry West $8 billion to fix this roster, because this is a supremely under-talented roster, which is being underutilized by their underdeveloped head coach, who needs to go. 14th is the Atlanta Hawks. New coach, same problems. Trae Young's playing a little bit more defense, but they are blowing leads. DeAndre Hunter looks bad. John Collins looks bad. DeJounte Murray looks bad. 13th is the Golden State Warriors, and they're actually coming down 2 spots. They're just, man, their road Warriors and their home Warriors are just so different. They're theoretically good, right? I watched a full game of theirs for the first time in a while, and they just shoot themselves in the foot on all aspects: offense, defense, coaching. They just refuse to be a smart, good team. Offensive turnovers have always been a problem for them. Not just the, oh, wow, that was a difficult entry pass that got stolen, but just these mind-numbing, why did you throw that ball away, Russell Westbrook turnovers. Defense, they always lose focus, they always foul, and they always give up offensive rebounds. They refuse to stay locked in for 48 minutes. They commit ticky-tack fouls all the time, and most importantly, they're just too damn short to rebound the ball. No matter how hard Kevon Looney or Draymond Green tries, they're not going to be 7 foot. If only they had some sort of, I don't know, a young, gifted, athletic center who could rebound the ball. As for coaching, oh boy, Anthony Lamb got signed to a real contract, so he's going to soak up minutes for somebody who could actually offer them something. And I don't know, it's the Warriors 2023. This is how their season has been. They're 36-36, exactly at 500. That feels about right. Lakers jumping up a spot here at 12. First of all, Austin Reeves, what a game he had, career night. Second of all, what a game they lost to the Mavericks with a game winner by Kleba. They're just always in these really close competitive games, and they seem to lose a lot of them, but then they'll have crazy breakouts performances from Austin Reeves and like Dennis Schroeder or Rui Hachimura. Anyway, I'm still a big fan of this Lakers squad. Once LeBron comes back, I think they're going to be legitimately competitive. Now, are they going to go on a playoff push? That's the question. 11 is the Heat. 39-34. Their offense is horrible. Kyle Lowry is old. Bam Adebayo can't shoot, and then the rest of the guys are G League guys. That's really it. I've talked ad nauseum about the Heat's woes and issues about their roster long enough, and that is going to be the tier of WTF. This tier is a little bit separate. I've broken up the teams, and these are the tier of teams that are fading quickly, that look like their playoff aspirations and their playoff push is starting to disappear, starting with the Clippers, and they just aren't playing well. Still, I know it's the regular season and they load manage and they experiment with rosters, and they'll play a Marcus Morris, Eric Gordon, Russell Westbrook at the same time roster to close out a game and then lose. I don't have anything to say about this team. They have no identity. Kawhi Leonard is the worst leader in the history of basketball. Paul George isn't that good. They're old as dirt. Similar to the Warriors, I have no expectations for this team. Talent-wise, theoretically, they could compete to win it all in the West, but are they going to? Probably not. At 9 is the Phoenix Suns, falling down a spot, 38-33. Of course, no Kevin Durant. He should be back, maybe like first round of the playoffs, and you can see just how much better he makes everybody on the team. Of course, Kevin Durant's going to get double teamed, which means that Devin Booker won't get double teamed because the team is already focusing in 100% on Kevin Durant, which means Devin Booker can just play his own game. Devin Booker one-on-one is a menace. Devin Booker getting double teamed is a confused little boy. Then Cliff Paul doesn't have to exert himself too much. He's like 90 years old at this point. And DeAndre Ayton can just grab rebounds and pretend to play basketball. With Kevin Durant, as always, this is a championship caliber team. Without, they're kind of a mid. They're the 9 seed. They're not very good. They rely on Torrey Craig way too much. And that's going to be the moral of this team, at least for this season, probably for the foreseeable future. How healthy can they be? At 8 is the Grizzlies. Dillon Brooks just goes Michael Jordan when players talk shit at him. It's so funny. He's had a horrible year up to this point. Then Draymond Green and all that fiasco happened, and now Dillon Brooks is the best player in the NBA. They're really just treading water until Ja Morant comes back. Steven Adams looks like he might be back for the playoffs, hopefully. And I don't have much to say about Ja Morant because I'm kind of sick of that topic. At number 7 is the Nuggets. They are falling precipitously. Now, Jamal Murray is playing hurt right now. He's been horrible lately. Reggie Jackson and Thomas Bryant have been horrible lately. And Michael, don't call me Mike Malone, is getting exposed as a bad head coach as far as his rotations are concerned. I hope they fix their shit soon. I hope they call more plays for Michael Porter Jr. because he is a supreme talent that's being underutilized in their system. And we'll see how they close out this final month of the season. It's been painful for the last few weeks ever since it's every single team in the West. As soon as they got to the number 1 seed, they just completely collapsed and stumbled over their own failures. And the Kings are coming fast. At number 6 is the Boston Celtics. And is there a stat out there for game-winning shots that they missed? Because the Celtics are leading in that record. Just time and time again, there's like 4 game stretches where Al Horford's open to the 3 for the win, miss. And then Jason Tatum has a layup for the win, miss. And I think in those bad games like the loss of the Rockets, we need to understand that Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are in the same tier of players. We need to treat them as such, not that Jason Tatum is this MVP superstar, build the team around, and then Jaylen Brown is just a happy-go-lucky Robin. Jaylen Brown is a stud. Jaylen Brown can average 30 a night on his own team. He is probably not quite as talented as Jason Tatum, but he's much more aggressive. He's a lot more athletic, and I think his shot is a little more reliable. Anyway, another rough stretch of games for the Celtics, continuing to fall down 3 spots, and then that is the tier of fading teams. This next one is the tier of consistently okay, and I've been really hesitant at putting these teams way too high or way too low for the entire season just because these are power rankings. I don't think roster talent-wise they're that good, but all these other teams are just struggling so mightily. And we're going to start with the New York Knicks, the mid-3. RJ Barrett has been but Jalen Brunson is back and healthy and great. And Julius Randle is the best number 2 in the NBA. And Tom Thibodeau is doing a heck of a job this season coaching these boys up. The Knicks are pretty good, consistently okay. 42-30 on the season, jumping up 2 spots. And the Kings jumping up 2 spots as well. Officially the number 4 seed, and they're coming for that number 1 seed. My problem with the Kings, as evidenced by the loss to the Bucks, is when they're bringing their A game, their absolute best, all cylinders cruising, scoring 150 points, career nights from Kayvon Herter, everything is clicking. They still aren't good enough to compete versus the best teams in the NBA. And I grant you, they've been extraordinarily healthy. They haven't had any player drama. They've been the steadiest, best coached team in the Western Conference, if not the entire league right now. But their top end talent has a cap, and I don't feel comfortable putting them ahead of the best teams in the NBA. Still, even at this point, even though their offense is so great, I just can't put them in that next caliber of teams. And at number 3 is the Cleveland Cavaliers. They've honestly been really steadily quiet as well. They've been dealing with injuries. Now Jared Allen has dealt with an eye issue. Remember, Darius Garland had multiple eye issues to start the season. Donovan Mitchell was in and out of the roster with his own injuries. And they've been dealing with a lot, and they've been playing damn good basketball. They have 45 wins on the season, and they're just kind of underappreciated right now. There's not a lot of drama out in Cleveland. They just do their thing. Donovan Mitchell had his 71-point night, and then that's all you really heard about Cleveland for the entire year. They're a damn good basketball team on their own, and the way that these teams like the Celtics and the Nuggets are fading, the Cavs are right there, ready to make their jump as well. But that's going to put us on the 2 teams that are the best in the NBA, and I think there's no debate, no discussion. These 2 teams are unstoppable. What order do you want to put them in is almost personal preference at this point. And we have the Milwaukee Bucks. No changes here at the number 2 seed. And the Bucks are just a machine right now. Coach Bud has them playing hard. Their role players step up in exactly the ways they need to. Drew Holiday is ridiculously clutch, and Chris Middleton is starting to come back. I saw that they have like a 130 offensive rating when Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Drew Holiday are all on the court at the same time. Doesn't happen too often this season, but they're starting to get healthy at the right time. And I still have the 76ers as the number 1 seed. I think they got the best player in the NBA. I know Joel Embiid gets all those foul calls, but I think this team is ready to compete and win it all. Hopefully Doc Rivers doesn't screw that up. That's going to do it for this week's Power Rankings. Let me know what your thoughts are, what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I'll catch you in the next one.